we're coming to a bit of a close at the moment. We've got Bruce McClellan just coming to join us with his panel at the moment, and this is around community scale development project. Bruce is a senior manager for something called the Knowledge Transfer Network here in the UK. And the Knowledge Transfer Network, the parent organization, is Innovate UK. So in a way, I feel jealous because Bruce gets the opportunity to look at all the national projects that keep coming through his way in terms of organizations who need advice, guidance, support, etc. And Bruce and his team actually help to do that. And I'm delighted that Bruce has brought along this wonderful opportunity for us to look at this community developed projects that he's going to run through with the panel. I'm just wondering, can we get Bruce and panel on at the moment? And I think, Phil, you're going to start the presentation. So is that okay with you, Phil?
Hi, John. Well, I think it's I think we're waiting for Bruce, actually. Bruce is meant to be sharing.
Bruce is just putting a comment in here to say he's just going to rejoin in a moment. So he may have just gone out of the system to come back in. Phil, could I just maybe have a quick conversation with you while we're waiting for Bruce, just to get a bit of a synopsis about what the presentation is going to be around?
Yeah, I think there's going to be an overview of, as you say, the work the KTN do. And here's Ashley. Hi, Ashley. And the work of Innovate UK. It's a UK government funded research. Here's Bruce. Bruce, before I go in and destroy your presentation, I'll let you take over if that's okay.
I will leave you all to it, and I will look forward to enjoying your presentation. Bruce, I think you've got me on mute. Okay. Thank you, guys.
I've got no doubt it's a consequence of me pressing all the wrong buttons. But thank you, everyone. And yes, thanks for the overview there of the Knowledge Transfer Network. I'm just going to launch into a little bit of a presentation here so that we can drive this from the front. So the good news for everybody is that we're not going to be changing presentations as we go through, and we're going to do this in a super quick time as well, because we all know that there's things to be getting on with. But I'll just be, if you could put up a speaker saying next slide, Bruce, that has saved us a bit of time in the long run. So the Knowledge Transfer Network, as you say, is a government inspired network back in the day from the UK to drive the UK's innovation agenda in all technical sectors. But in 2013 or so, this network broke out of the government control and labs and became a very independent, formidable force. Pretty much the UK's entire innovation sector landscape and all sectors in one area, very powerful tool. Now actually being used by other governments other than just the UK's government. So I can talk about that another day, perhaps. So I'm going to just quickly move it forward really to why we're here. We are at the KTN involved with several programs around future city thinking when it comes to the individual challenge areas like energy systems, water systems, food mileage, water systems, even the programs around how you would even control those from a central digital city kind of arena. But what I was bringing my fellow friends onto this panel for is to talk about what happens if you visualize bringing that all together for a community scale project where you're aiming to go net impact positive on the environment around that new community development. So that means getting it right with water, getting it right with energy, getting it right with the food program, getting it right with waste, getting everything right so that you are looking at a community that in itself is adding value to the area around it. These programs that we're going to talk about very quickly are in process of delivery in terms of the ideas are there, or they've got permission to start thinking about it. They've been granted access to land potential, or indeed they are about to be looking at some funding programs. Some of it very, very sensitive and commercially sensitive, so we couldn't go into that. But these are programs where we will reference them, and then I'll be looking at the comments in the communities in the chat forum to see if there's any clarification. But without further ado, I'm going to ask Ashley to come in and take us through these slides that I've got on my computer.
Thank you very much, Bruce. Can everybody hear and see me there?
Yeah.
Excellent. Yes. Well, I'm here to talk about agri-villages, and you can see something I built in the background there called a tele-village, which I'm going to allude to a little bit further on. But it's worth remembering that the first civilizations that started came about because of climate change. The climate got warmer, and people needed to come together to survive. That was a natural climate change. We're now in a man-made climate change. And I see this as not so much a problem as a great opportunity to make civilization more civilized. And I'm on a mission in my lifetime. The stone, if you like, I carry in my soul is to create exemplar communities that have a benign or beneficial effect on the planet. So if you like, they have they're built with a Hippocratic oath that will do the planet no harm. So they are designed to be positive, producing more food, more energy, more wildlife than they consume. And it seems to me that we really need this model because cities, which more than half of us now live in and are increasingly doing so, consume a staggering 75% of the world's resources, even though they occupy only 2% of the world's landmass. And these are machines that are sucking in materials and spitting out waste, and it's the wrong model. And if we are going to survive as a species for a long time, we need to change that model. And I'm in the business of sort of changing things by example. So the agri-village idea that I'm going to talk to you about is an evolution of something I built previously in the background there. And this was a community geared towards people living and working. Perhaps give the next slide, please, Bruce. Yep. This is so the tele-village was 60 homes, and it was a place where people lived and worked. It was connected fibre optically to the internet in the 90s, and the important parts of it was that it enabled to overcome the isolation of home working, which obviously be experienced by probably quite a few people in the pandemic, but also by keeping the workspaces rather than in the house separate from the homes in the courtyard here. There was an important psychological distance between work and family life. This was a place where people lived and worked, and they sold things, and it was largely all information workers, but we had some very interesting things, people making records with other musicians around the world, and translators, all kinds of various different skills there. And the whole village was more or less entirely built out of local materials within a 20-mile radius. And it was in a national park in one of the most beautiful towns in Wales. So it was done very sympathetically to the local vernacular. But we're moving on to something now quite more modern, which is the agri-village, which is an evolution of the tele-village. Perhaps we can move on to the next slide, Bruce. So in that picture there, you can see the white patch on the right-hand side, about 2/3 up. That is a former iron ore slag heap, and this is a place called Millom on the edge of the Lake District National Park in England on the northeast coast, one of the world's most beautiful national parks. But this was at one time the largest iron ore mine in the world, and that white blob is going to become an Italian-style hill town of 500 homes overlooking the Goon and the Irish Sea, and also the mountains behind it. But it abuts a mining community that 50 years ago closed. It was a population of 10,000, is now 6,000. And it is the chance for the second coming for the community. The mayor very kindly said this is the best thing that's happened to the town for 50 years. Because it is also high tech in that it is looking to be the Formula One of eco development. So I founded the Green Cities Foundation 20 years ago. So I've watched the journey of smart cities and green foundations. But there, as far as I'm aware, there is no city or community yet that is truly green and is harmless to the planet. That is our Hippocratic goal with this project. So we're going to have 500 homes, and then we're going to own the farmland and conservation land around it, typically about 300 acres, which will be enable the inhabitants to produce more food than they consume. We're not looking for it to be self-sufficient. We're looking at it to have a net produce, but we will use the land in innovative ways with new food entrepreneurs to demonstrate how very ecologically you can grow lots of food. So, for example, growing mushrooms on old coffee grounds. So that there will be lots of features to this. It won't just be a place where people live. There will be a stage. The whole village will be built like an amphitheatre, so it can host events. There will be farmers markets, community cafes. There will be lots of workspaces, and there'll also be a multidiscipline university where we mix up the disciplines of social enterprise with horticulture and technology. So it'll be a really lively, stimulating place to live, but it will also be a very healthy place to live. We will have electric car and bike pools, and the cars will largely be removed from the development. So it will not only be something that's good for the planet, it will also be good for human beings as well. It'll be a much more gregarious place with lots of meeting places for people to interact and share ideas, much healthier, encouraging outdoor activity, and if you like, walking, working rather than sitting in front of a PC. So a stimulating environment in that regard. But also have another property innovation called rent positive houses. So all the houses will have about half or a quarter of their house available to rent for Airbnb. Perhaps, sorry, can we move to the next slide, Lucy? This is a sort of artist sort of visualization of the project. It's not a detailed project. It gives you kind of implies the details, and you might just see the mountains in the background there. Yeah, so it's going to have lots of features, be a really nice place to live, but it also have these rent positive houses that enable people to have more money coming into the household than they have going out, so that because the income from a holiday cottage is roughly 4 times that of a normal rent. So it means that the new food entrepreneurs and people moving into this community will have enough money coming in to cover their rent and mortgage. So where we're at the moment is we're looking for £10 million to acquire the land and make the planning application. It's a solid project on paper. It's going to cost £97 million to build, with a profit of £78 million. We have terrific support right the way through from the Prime Minister to lots of government ministers, particularly Michael Gove, who's just brought through the greatest agricultural revolution in parliamentary terms in the UK. You know, we're looking for partners to make this happen. We're a good team. Our team has delivered or helped deliver the London Olympics and the Battersea Power Station development in London, the largest development in Europe. But what I'd finally like to say is that this is the time to do this. The technologies that have emerged, which have been talked about previously in this conference, are going to change the way we live, the way we work, the way we play, the way we move, the way we eat, and the way we grow. And just like the iPhone, this is a moment to bring these technologies together and really revolutionize the construction industry and the very way we live. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Ashley. So this is a process of open for collaboration, and that's very much what KTN does. It finds these things and it works to make those connections. So I'm going to quickly, Ashley, you can take a seat for a second, and Phil, can I just bring you in here? Tell us about this Pauly program.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you, right?
Okay, good. Okay, so Pauly, a UK SME, which means we're a small business. We work with KTN and Innovate UK on driving immersive and emerging technology to deliver efficiencies for our clients. And they range from people like Jacobs to Siemens to HS2, and so on and so forth. And what we have set out to achieve really is to align people, process, data, and things, just to make sure that collaboration is sort of maximised really between office workers, home workers, and field workers, that they're all sharing the same data sets and visualization and 3D and so on. And we do that through holographic technology, AR, VR, AI, IoT. Next, please, Bruce. So obviously, pandemic has accelerated transformation, as we've heard earlier, and corporate process or corporate purpose is really being questioned now. A brilliant inauguration speech by Joe Biden, I thought, to address humanitarian, social, and environmental challenges. We've all got to really work together. And I think there's a fantastic opportunity to do that now, and that's really where the KTN comes into their own. I think in helping sort of I think SMEs really sort of are the key innovators. They drive innovation. They've got lots of ideas, and it's sort of helping. KTN helps us sort of get those ideas out to the wider community around climate and sustainability and net zero and combating things like COVID. Obviously, we can't do the top-down sort of cognitive city approach like Jose can. So we've really started thinking about sort of the bottom-up approach. And that's why we're really grateful to be able to sort of work with or start to work with people like initiatives like In Harmony, because they really have the vision and have been doing it for many years, and we can all learn a tremendous amount from that sort of methodology, I think. Next slide, please, Bruce. So, how can we help? We've looked at, if we can't do we really want to get involved with a big city work, but that's covered by the big boys like Microsoft. So we have to think about the sort of the smaller elements, the individual developments. And then that comes down to what should we be asking for from our mixed-use developments, because at the moment they're very much siloed. You're building, or we're building sort of office blocks, and we're building residential blocks over here, and we're building other sort of elements over here, and nothing really joins together. We're asking people to come from far and around to sort of work in these offices, and then we're asking the people in the residential blocks to go out to work, and we're creating a lot more congestion and commute time, and what we've thought is, well, can we bring all these together? Can we align them better? Can we bring office spaces, schools, shops, community support, all under sort of a one roof approach, whereby we can reduce travel, we can reduce emissions, we can provide accommodation for employees, and we can provide jobs for the residents of these mixed-use developments. And it's about providing high quality jobs. So Bruce, next please. So that's sort of the vision, if you like. It's about trying to bring everything, a community, a mixed use development, community approach all together, to make it sort of more climate, sustainability, COVID proof, in a way that sort of really addresses the net zero challenge as well. So next, please. And this is where we think we add value. We sort of, we're pioneering, we're leading the digital twin from an SME perspective. We're aligning ourselves with something called the National Digital Twin Framework here in the UK, which is trying to set a new standard for these types of things by joining different digital twins together on a sort of a common data platform. The jobs that could be provided in these self-sustainable communities all around, hydroponics and vertical farming, the smart grids, electrical vehicles, and all of this sort of really exciting new tech. I just think there's a really a strong opportunity to keep people together, which in effect will really help reduce, drive down emissions, and not only in sort of in the building of these facilities, but also the whole life carbon costs of these facilities as well. So just the last couple of slides really, Bruce.
Okay.
This talks just, again, we can talk about projected growth of immersive tech. Microsoft, people like Microsoft and Facebook, are throwing billions of pounds at this type of technology. Microsoft alone have said or stated that they, Jose, I apologise if I haven't got it right, but as far as I'm aware, Microsoft have sort of committed to empowering 1.5 billion frontline workers with this type of technology over the next 5 to 10 years, and sort of we're hopefully at the forefront of that. And that's not just AR, but it's IoT, it's digital twinning, it's all of these sort of exciting new technologies. And that's it really, Bruce. There's the last couple of slides about the numbers or some stats around the efficiencies these types of technologies can drive, and actually just sort of scratching the surface. There's plenty more where that comes from. You can, these figures are being, they're happening as we speak, and yeah, it's a very exciting time, I think, with the new presidency, and yeah, we very much look forward to working with KTN moving forward.
Cool. There you go. Right, I'm going to quickly stop that in terms of sharing, so I can see you all. Oh, that's odd. I've got some sort of faded out. Hang on a second.
No, so have I.
Yeah,
so
we're back in the room. All right. Okay, so I think that we have got we pretty much run out of time, I'm afraid, in terms of the discussion, but I just wanted to bring to life the fact that these are challenging programs, and we will be keen to open up those conversations with those that want to really get under the skin of some of the challenges that are going to be faced here. I would say that in terms of Paulie, they're in a position of waiting for some government thinking to actually to back it, and that's why we can't go too far into the detail of that one. But certainly with Ashley and team, that there is an open door and a platform there for people to bring their ideas forward to solve those communal challenges. And they are many, because at the end of the day, the ambition is around the net positive impact, whatever you're measuring in terms of the community and environment around the community. So I can't see any particular questions, but I think that's because everybody's looking at the door now to get on with their day jobs, or even sometimes their evening. And Phil, you've got son's birthday to get back to, so I'm not going to waste too much time.
Thank you.
And I thank you for your time, because it is a family day today, and I appreciate your time. So on that,
I wonder whether or not everyone's still there, Bruce, or has everyone gone? I wonder if
I think they're there. I'm sure they are there. David, are you there? Because you can kick us out of the room now if you like. I'm going to leave the forum and see if you can hand over to David to wrap the event up. But thanks for your time. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah.